terms of the impact or the ROI that FLEETCOR sees from Zingtree. So can you talk a little bit about how you measure that impact? What is that impact?
So look, being entirely transparent, and I'm sure most of your customers will say exactly the same thing. When you expend money in a business, you kind of need to justify to finance, accounting, the MD, whoever it might be, that you're not pouring money down the drain, but you're going to get a return on investment on it. I was really confident when writing the business case as Zingtree that we were going to see a return on investment. And I knew I was going to be conservative with the figures. A lot of the things that we have kind of seen success on have been relatively additional benefits. So we knew it was going to improve and increase the time that we could get people up to competency. What we didn't expect was just by how much. To put it into perspective, if I needed some resource, it used to take me, X amount of weeks to recruit. Somebody might start on day one. By the time they're fully competent, it used to take up to 13 weeks, by which point the operation had either fallen over or we didn't need them anymore. Now we can do that potentially within 3 days. Now that is a real game changer for us, because not only are we massively shifting the dial, but we can actually more responsibly respond to peaks and troughs and demands. So that is a huge, huge thing for me. It's a little more difficult to put a pounds and pence figure on that, or a dollar and cents figure. It's a little harder to quantify sometimes, because actually the cost that you pay whilst you're training someone is often a hidden cost. It's an absorbed cost. But actually the very fact that we can get people in, and fully competent, potentially 2.5 months previous to what we could have done, has been a massive game changer for us. I think the other kind of element of that is around productivity. We're exiting the year around about 5 FTE lower than we kind of started the previous year. This year, we've got a target to exit the year about 8.5 FTE lower. We're already 5 FTE or 5.9 FTE towards that target. A lot of that is down to the increased productivity. There are other fields at play as well. Having the knowledge all in one centralized place, having that standardization, having people coming on day one and being able to be productive. Marie, please do keep me honest here. I do believe actually there was a new person who started, and actually after 3 or 4 days, they were able to process about 80 or 90 emails just by following Zingtree. Now, to put that into perspective, our biggest performers who have been in the business 3, 4 years, maybe would process 120 or 130. So although not quite to that level that we'd expect after many years of tenure, they've already been an absolute blowing out the water from what you'd normally expect from somebody who would be so new to the business.
I think we also had a risk as well in terms of we had an awful lot of tenure and some of the knowledge of processes was stuck in people's heads. And what we've been able to do is extract that and put that into a Zingtree format. From a risk perspective, we're covered as a business. We've been able to cross-skill that quite effectively. And if that knowledge was to leave the business, we're still secure and able to continue servicing customers in certain ways. And again, you can't really put a price on that, because it only really impacts you when that person leaves the business and you're caught short.
It's a really pertinent point here, is that it's not just necessarily about the return on investment. It's about that insurance policy. It's about making sure that if your 30-year tenure colleague who has got all those knowledges and process and everything in his head wins the lottery, gets hit by a bus, goes to fight in Ukraine, whatever it might be, it is that insurance policy that all that knowledge is not just in one person's head. It's mapped out into Zingtree, because it's one of those risks that we don't talk about, we don't want, we don't need, we don't like. But if it was to happen as a business, we'd have been down street without a paddle. And that's something you'll never see in a business case, because it doesn't bring you back the dollars and the cents of the pounds and the pence.
Yeah.
That is just such an understated item.
Yeah.
It really is.